Thanks for joining us as we talk about buying things from garage sales, thrift stores, and flea markets and reselling them on eBay for a profit. I'm John, that's Devin, and we're the Severe Thrifters. All right, everybody. Episode 12.
The big 1, 2.
I think I spit a little bit there.
Yeah,
12 is tough to say without spitting on somebody. You
Episode 12.
do a ventriloquist. 12. I don't know. Okay. Episode 12. So we're over 200 downloads, right?
Oh, yeah. Almost. Hopefully by the time this video or this podcast is released, we'll be at 250.
Whoa.
On just the Thrifters podcast.
Nice.
Now, there is the You Know What I Hate that they could always go listen to. And
Yeah.
I think that one's only got about 30 or so.
That's okay.
Not as-
That's just a fun little
Yeah.
side podcast.
Rant and Rave
Yeah.
podcast.
But we don't talk politics. But
Try to stay away from it at
well,
least.
you know, today's episode, Devin, I think we're going to talk dirty.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope everybody's ready for this.
Oh, I don't
So
know
thank
if
you for
I'm
tuning
ready
in.
for this.
All right. He doesn't know what I'm about to say.
I have no
He's
clue.
like really nervous. Yeah, see him over here.
Yeah. I don't know what's about to happen. I don't know what. I'm thinking if I need to check this explicit button or whatever.
So if you have a comment or question, you can reach out at severethrifters@gmail.com.
Oh, Lord.
He's like, oh, Lord. No. All right. So here's my dirty little story.
Oh, God.
So, as you all know, I go to the flea market quite often, right?
Yeah.
So I was at the flea market yesterday. Yeah,
Saturday?
yesterday. I actually went to a garage sale first, and that was a pretty decent one. I got quite a few things, but then I went ahead and headed to the flea market and turned on my camera. And first and foremost, somebody had backed into somebody else, and we had like 5 city police officers out there.
Of course, there's like 5 of them.
Yeah, there was, too.
Little fender bender, there's
Yeah.
the whole county's out there.
Yeah, you had like 5 squad cars out there. They had a couple officers walk around asking the people that work in their little booths if they saw anything. I'm like, it's literally just get the story. Let's move on, right? But I'm not a police officer. I don't know these things. But so I was over in that area, and I'm like, forget it. I'll just come back to this later, because it was like somebody turned the lights on and the roaches were everywhere.
Yeah.
Police officers everywhere. I'm like, I can't even look in the booths, you know. So I said, you know what, today, and you guys will see on my next video.
2 videos.
2 videos from now.
2 videos.
Yeah,
from now.
so this is kind of a sneak peek. This would be a trailer of my new video coming out, my second. Well, how did I even say that? Don't worry about it. It's not the next video. It's the one after.
Well, by the time they hear this, it might be the next video.
Oh, okay, cool.
We'll say the next video.
Sweet. So, Severe Thrifters on YouTube. You'll have to check that out. I decided to start at the way back and work my way to the front this time. Normally, I go to the front row, which if you ever shop flea markets, or if you have not shopped a flea market, the front row normally are the regulars. They're the people that bring new stuff in each week. Like our flea market runs Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays.
Mm-hmm.
Some do Wednesdays. That's why I say that.
Oh, okay.
So the front row is normally your regulars. So, but normally as you get towards the back, it's the people that just kind of come and go each week. And so I was like, I'm just going to start in the back. Maybe I'll have better luck there. So I'm walking through, looking at booths, and everybody's trying to sell me something, and then none of it's any good. You can have 2 ornaments for $1. I was like, well, I don't even have a tree up, so no thanks. And so I kept moving on, and then I ran into this guy that his table was just a pile. I'm talking a pile. And I'm like, what in the world does this guy have? And it was all vacuum parts.
We talked about that, I think, on one of our first episodes. We talked about vacuum parts.
Belts and power heads and hoses. And he had a Kirby standing up on there and had another something king. One of those old, I can't think of what the name of it was. And I'm like, what in the world? I mean, it's a literal pile. And I'm like, I don't even know what you're selling, because it's just a pile of... It's like, I swear he came in like a 55-gallon barrel of stuff and just flipped it over on the table and then pulled it up. And there was your pile of stuff. Oh, it was a mess. And I'm talking to him, I'm like, what do you got going on here? He's like, I was in the vacuum cleaner repair business for 26 years. I have way more than this. I said, well, I can only imagine, you know. So I start moving stuff out of the way. I was like, is there anything inside this pile? This it's a pile of rubber belts, you know. And I did find, believe it or not, and this isn't the dirty.
Oh, okay.
It could be though, right? Because it's vacuum cleaners.
I guess so.
But
that's where I thought you were going
I know,
with
no,
it.
it's better. But I did find underneath all that, a DVD VHS combo player.
Of course you did.
I did. I'm like, I'm going to ask him how much you want for it. He's like, you can have it for $5. I said,
No, I thought you were about to say free. I was like, of course you get it for free.
No, it gets better.
Oh, okay.
And then right next to it, if anybody's ever done any automotive repair, they know what a Hilton is. It's one of those repair manual books.
Mm-hmm.
Haynes makes one too.
Yeah.
Underneath there is a 1985 to 1994 like Chevy Cavalier. There's a Buick Skylark, I think, or Skyhawk, Cadillac. And I pull it out from underneath this pile of belts. And I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. He's like, you can have them. So I got those for free.
How many was there?
Oh, just one.
Oh.
It was one that covers all those cars.
Gotcha.
So, and it was a pretty thick book.
You said those, so I thought.
Did I say those?
Yeah.
Moving
I'll
belts.
edit it out.
No, it's okay. I get that for free.
Gotcha. Okay.
And he just gave it to me. I was like, cool. You know, I started talking to him about other stuff. We won't go into that. You'll see that in the video. And so I carried on. So I've got that VHS player, which is weird that here's a vacuum repair guy.
I know.
Underneath all this stuff is a VHS DVD combo.
What an odd thing to have.
Yeah.
The only thing I think different it would have been is like if you had I don't even know what would have been more weird
out
than
of the
that.
blue.
That's such a weird thing to have.
And if I would have said, guess what was under there, you never would have guessed a
not
DVD
in a
player.
million years
I
would I
know,
have said
right?
a DVD player.
Okay, so, which I think is funny. I was like, of all things, too bad he didn't have the remote.
Yeah.
I wish that would have been. I was digging around looking for it.
I have a Sony remote that you can have, by the way.
Nice,
It's in the
nice.
box.
Sweet. I think this might have been no, it was an Insignia. Never mind. Okay, so I'm walking through, checking a bunch of other booths. I did find a booth that he was selling a Rainbow Bright. I don't know if you remember.
Rainbow vacuums?
No, Rainbow Bright was a cartoon back in my day.
Oh, I was wanting a rainbow vacuum.
Do you want a rainbow?
Yeah.
Oh, I find those all the time. You do want one?
Phone them for cheap, let me know.
Yeah, those are good. You
I
have
know.
them.
I want one.
It was a Rainbow Bright dog. And if anybody's ever known, like back in 1983, they had the Rainbow Bright series, and then they came out with dolls, and there was a dog on there, and he had the stuffed animal dog. And I thought, well, I didn't price comp it, but I was like, I never see those anywhere. Mm-hmm. And I was like, how much do you want for it? He said $10, and it was a plush dog. It was just a stuffed animal. I'm like, that's kind of high, but I never see one of these. So I grabbed it. I paid him full price. Don't know what I was thinking. You'll see in the video whether or not that paid out or not.
Oh.
So... But I thought it was cool because it was Rainbow Bright dog. You just don't see them very often, okay? So I grabbed that. So here I'm carrying a DVD player. I got that dog underneath the other arm. And I have the Chilton's or the Haynes manual. And I walk over to this other one. And they have this little tub sticking out. And they have right on top is a Panasonic cassette player, Walkman.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, boom, I just sold one for $40.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The ones that have AM, FM on them go for big bucks right now, the vintage ones. And I don't know if it works, but she said, Dala. So I was like, perfect. You know, did my accent like give away who was selling it? And then I said, gracias, when I left.
No, I have no clue.
No clue?
Are you going to explain it to me? No. You're just going to leave me in the... well, if you guys know, please let us know, because I'm lost here.
So I paid her $1. And then she had one of those voice... It's not a Walkman, but it records. It has little miniature tape cassettes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's just a recorder. Got one of those for $1. Needless to say, I looked everywhere else, couldn't find anything. So I was like, I'm going back up to the front. I mean, it was like a really slim pickings day at the flea market. So I walked all the way back up to the front. I'm like, the front row, the regulars, they have the same stuff.
Yeah,
and
all the time.
they've had it for the last few weeks. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, they're just not bringing anything new out. But I looked across the street, like where the gas station is, how some people will set up along the road over there.
Yeah.
I walked over there, and I looked at this one booth. They had stuff that they pulled out of their enclosed trailer on tables. It was older antique type stuff, but it was more antiques, not stuff that I'd want to sell like an eBay reseller. But then I went to the next booth, and this guy's sitting in a chair, okay? And if you ever go to garage sales or flea markets, you're going to know this type of person.
I'm already imagining it
Okay.
in my head.
So he's sitting there smoking a cigarette, sitting in his little chair. I start looking at what he has, because sometimes you can't judge a book by its cover, right?
Yeah.
You just have to assume they're just trying to get rid of stuff.
Yep.
Every single thing, and I'm not exaggerating, every single thing that I touched, he had to give me a dictionary or an encyclopedia information all about it.
Oh, Lord.
I touched I'm not kidding, it was a DVD player. Just a DVD player. I don't pick them up because it's like those are all over the place right now. And there's certain brands that you want to get, but those little ones aren't worth $10.
Yeah.
And I just picked it up to see what brand it is. Oh, well, that's a Sony model DVD player, and it works. And I'm just like, okay. So I set it back down, and I open up this camera bag, because he's got a small camera bag. It's got an Olympia camera in it.
Oh.
And he's like, well, that's an Olympia camera. This is back when, this is more for professionals when they're using film, but it still had digital something on the insides, and it had all this, and this. And
Did
I'm
you
like,
pick that up?
well, we'll get to that. And I picked it up, and it's really light. And I'm like, but it had the big flash off to the side. Like you have the regular film camera with the big flash that sticks off to the side. But it was just Olympia. It wasn't like a Canon or anything like that.
Yeah, but some old Olympias are worth some money. But I don't know about that one.
Okay. So then I set it down because I'm like, geez, Pete's, dude. Then I walked over to, there was something else. Well, that's a DVD rewritable drive that you could put it in. And everything I touched, he had to tell me what it was. It was like, you might think for a second that I might know what one of these things are, right? I mean, you're acting like I know nothing.
You can't read it.
Nothing.
No, you can't read either.
Right.
I'm sure the camera didn't say Olympia on it.
Right across the front, and it's just, the guy's driving me freaking crazy. Finally, I walk around, he's got a bunch of coats just stacked on a table. So I start picking one up. I kid you not, every single coat, that came from this place, and it's a blank, 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 and it was this old, and it's just like, dude, just stop. Let me just, I don't care where it came from. Yeah. Because honestly, in my line of business, it doesn't matter.
No.
I want to know if it's vintage. I want to know if it was made in the USA. I don't care that it came from Colorado. Don't care if it came from Florida. I don't care. My buyers don't care where it came from.
Yeah.
They want to know what it is.
Yeah.
But they don't care where it came from. And he's just telling me a story about these leather jackets and how you can tell this one came from Florida. And he opened it up. No lining. He's like, look at this one. He goes, can you guess where this one came from? Open it up and there's like lining. He's like, Michigan, because they get a lot of snow and it's cold. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I have got to run from this booth. But I was like, there was a few things I wanted.
At least he explained all of it to you.
Oh my gosh. And I'm like, well, what are you asking on the leather jackets? Because some leather jackets can go for, he's like, I've got to have 75 a piece. So,
Whoa.
So I puked in my mouth right then. And then I went back to the jackets.
How about something else?
Yeah. And they were like, a lot of them were in rough shape. They were not the cleanest.
They were worn for sure.
Yeah. And there's dog hair. There's cat hair. It smells like that cigarette smoke.
I hate that.
And so he's like, oh, did you see the Ford jacket? I'm like, wait, what? And so he's like, well, go to the bottom. I said, no, you can go ahead and pick them up. They're nasty, dude. I mean, they're nasty. So he grabs a whole pile. On the very bottom is a vintage, I would say, uniform for a service, like automotive mechanic, how Ford would provide them with a zip-up jacket, and it had the Ford emblem on the back.
Yeah.
With the more pointy, it was more of a vintage mechanic. And I'm like, oh, now that could be something, because anything that has Chevy, Ford, Dodge, stuff like that, people love, especially if it's vintage.
Yeah.
That's like a gold mine.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, okay. I'm thinking about getting that. How much you got to have for that? Because it was nasty.
Oh,
He's
God.
like, yeah, but here it is. He's like, $5. I'm like, oh, crap. Okay. I said, well, I'll take that. Yeah. So I go back over to the table where the camera is. Now, what I left out at the beginning about the camera, I said, how much do you want for it? And he said, $20. I was like, untested. You don't know. I looked them up.
Probably worth about $20.
And it wasn't loading. So that's when I went over to the table with the jackets. When I went back, I'm like, it loaded. I'm scrolling through the sold comps, and there's 3 sold, $22, $24. for something similar. I didn't get the model number. I just typed in the Olympia vintage film camera, whatever the case may be. And I said, all right. I said, now I've kind of looked it up because I'm not too keen on cameras. I don't know a lot about them. I said, how much you got to have for this one? I don't remember. He goes, oh, I think we were at 40.
Whoa, he doubled the price on you.
And I go, oh. I said, well, never mind. And I shut my phone. He's like, why? I said, well, I just looked him up. I said, I can get him on eBay for $21. and I was going to say, didn't you just tell me 20?
20 bucks?
He goes, well, okay, how about 20 then? I said, well, these are tested models for $22 selling. I said, I don't know if this thing's been sitting at the bottom of the lake for 3 years and you pulled out, wiped it off, and you're trying to sell it. I don't know.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right, well, what do you give me? I said, well, how about the jacket and the camera for $10? He goes,
sounds pretty good.
Okay. I'm like, well, okay. That's fine.
All right.
And he had another table like back towards his old van or whatever. So I walked back there. And I just looked because, the old van is open. He's like, oh, I've got propane tanks, a heater, and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, easy. It's okay. I didn't ask about them, first off. He's like, well, did you know it's illegal to sell propane tanks with propane in it? You can't do that. They have to be empty bottles. And I'm like, what is the state running around here telling you that you can't sell? I'm like, yeah.
He's got the FBI.
Yeah.
They're looking for this guy right now.
You swear he's sitting in his chair smoking a cigarette, got like the rules of propane book open, right? I mean, he's just kind of thumbing through it. Yeah. In 2020, you had to, I'm like, what, dude, seriously, what's your problem? Well, and then I'm at that table that I hadn't looked through it. And there he has one of these, we're suckers for fans because we sleep with a fan on 365 days a year. Mm-hmm. And he's got this black fan. And I am drawn to fans because I love my fans.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Can never have too many.
I go, ooh, a fan. I get kind of excited. I walk over there. Here's the dirty.
Oh, God.
I looked in that thing.
Oh, no.
I don't know if he... Is it possible to use a fan to shave your dog? It was so... I have seen less hair.
Did you get this on video?
I think my battery died when I was talking to him. So
no!
I remember, I'm like, oh, it makes that noise. So I don't know if the fan footage is on there. That thing, it looked like maybe the fan had swallowed a chihuahua and it was trying to blow the hair. It was just compact, full of just tan, red bone looking fur and dirt, and he's got it on the table for sale.
How much you want for it?
I didn't even ask. And I'm like,
he didn't give you the information on it?
Well, I turn around pretty quick. I'm like, oh my God, that's disgusting. And then he starts, you know how I am. I have tell me your life story written across my back. He goes into why he wants to sell all this stuff because him and his wife are going to buy a camper and they're going to travel the country. And they're going to go to this state first and then drive down this interstate to this state next. And I'm like, great, but I didn't ask.
You want the $10?
Yeah, so I was like, I'm digging the 10 out real quick. I could not believe, and the reason I said dirty was how filthy everything he had was. It was freaking disgusting. And I still can't believe I bought stuff, but the jacket's in the dryer right
you
now.
Can wash
I washed that. And the camera,
you can wipe off.
Yeah, I figured I could wipe it off. And if it doesn't work, I'm only out. Actually, nothing, because I'll share something a little bit with you. When I got home, because I didn't price comp that jacket. Mm-hmm. Actually, I went to Carm, the thrift store, after the thrift store, or a flea market, because they're right across the street from each other.
Yeah.
And so I went ahead and price comp that jacket. I can get 50 all day for it.
Oh, well, that's good.
Sold comps. 50, 50, 50, 50, 50, 50. So, I mean,
how much?
50. 50. It's $50. I can get $50 for them. So I was like, I don't care if the camera's no good. I just made $50 on that jacket,
Yeah.
But I could not believe that people will show up to those places and unload that stuff and not have a care in the world about how filthy that stuff is.
That story made me think of, like, I don't know if you ever pulled any of the stuff out of the boxes. The stuff that we had in the basement, you could tell that's where...
Of this house that you bought?
Yeah. That you could tell that's where they did all their smoking their cigarettes and stuff. because all the boxes we opened up, if they had pots and pans and stuff like that in it, was covered in like a grease film yellow, like literally enough to where it'd be on your hands, like coat your hand in it. You couldn't hold on to it because it was like greasy almost. That's how you telling that story made me think of like the feeling of like touching that grease stuff, and that's how I feel like that camera was like greasy. The jacket was just like covered in hair and like nasty like stain. I don't know.
And it was funny because after I bought the jacket, it made me think of it when you said that. He's like, "You want a bag?" No,
it's okay,
I've got
sir.
one. And he starts to like hand me the jacket. I'm like, "No, you just go ahead and shove it in here yourself." Because I didn't want to touch it anymore.
What was he wearing?
A green jacket, kind of like, I wouldn't say a military jacket.
Yeah,
but
that's exactly what I was thinking. Like
Yep.
a white shirt with some stains on it.
Exactly.
And like black pants.
Black pants.
With like, but they're like,
But like more...
like lounging pants.
No, these were
okay,
more like, not military, not cargo, where it had a lot of pockets down the sides. But
I was expecting like a grandpa sweatpant type ordeal.
Oh.
But like the same sweatpants for the last 30 years.
Oh. I
Like
couldn't
dog
believe
hair
how
all over it.
nasty that stuff was. I mean, and some of the jackets just had just tears in them. And they're all just laying on top of each other with all this hair and nastiness all over them. I have never... We have gone through 1 million fans between you and me.
Yeah.
Not 1 million, and that's an over-exaggeration. But I'm just saying, we go through a lot of fans. Yeah. A lot of fans.
A lot.
If you combine the dust on all of them...
Nothing.
There's still nothing compared to this thing. It was the creepiest. I would have loved to just said, "Can I test it?" and plug it in and stand back and see what happens. If that stuff went like poof, this plume of fur, and people would be like, "Is the cabin on fire?" No, I just turned this fan on. You know?
I'm imagining like this fan, right? It's got it's like the hair and stuff is like so stuck and greased together. It's like pointing straight out.
That's exactly what it is. A great way of explaining it. It was, like I said, like there's a chihuahua being forced in there.
It was like the fan was still going, and there's hair. Like, that's how I'm imagining is like you got a fan blowing, if you got like, you know how some of those AC units, they'll have like the little, I don't know, paper strips or something on it, and it's like blowing it out to let you know that it's blowing, but cover that in hair and grease, and that's what I'm imagining it looks like.
And like the whole time after I saw it, I'm like, what could possibly cause this? How do you get that much fur, grease, and grime, and the fan still works? And it wasn't an expensive fan. It was just one of them plastic round. It wasn't even an oscillating. It's where it tilted front and back.
Oh, I have one of those.
Yeah, it wasn't anything like super fancy, but I just started to wonder. And then as I walk away, you start to really open your eyes to the filth that's out there. After you see that, you're like, is this it? And then you really start opening your eyes to, this dude sells nothing but stuff that's been saturated in water. Like, this guy had stereo equipment after I left that one, and I'm like, I would buy that. So I started looking at it a little closer. I'm like, this looks like it's been sitting in a barrel of water. I mean, like, the face plate on it was a receiver, stereo receiver. It was like bubbling.
Huh.
And it looked like there was moisture behind the faceplate and the actual unit. And I'm like, okay, pass. Right? And it really kind of opened my eyes to how people, when they're selling this stuff, they don't care what condition it's in, apparently.
They really don't.
But I honestly don't think they even cover anything up. They just throw it in the back of their truck and then we'll get it next week.
I can imagine doing that. I mean, I would do it to stuff that we had here. Like, I thought about doing, the flea market before we did the yard sale. But I was like, I don't know. I wouldn't want to bring something out there that's dirty. I feel like you'd sell it better if it was clean.
Yeah.
If that fan was clean, would you have bought it?
If it was clean, I would have.
Yeah.
I'm sure the price would have been right. And if it worked, I'd have bought the dang fan.
Yeah. I mean, it's worth having a fan.
Yeah. I mean, even if it would have been $5, worth it to me.
Fans are expensive.
Yeah.
They really are.
But man, I saw that thing and I'm like, no, we're good. Yeah.
Oh, speaking of fans, going off on a tangent here, I just recently saw that they made a fan. It's an adjustable height fan, and it kind of loops up over the edge of your bed. And so it'll blow the cool air underneath your blankets, underneath your sheets and stuff.
That's interesting.
On your bed.
I wonder what that would feel like.
How I'm thinking about it, right, is like...
Would it dry out your butt?
Oh, maybe.
That's really not the first thing I thought of.
Well, that's what I do. I get out of the shower and I just lay there. And let the fan
Stop.
just blow on
I guess
me.
we are talking dirty. Wait, stop already.
No, but like that fan, how I'm thinking about it is like, you know how like you built a fort when you were a kid with a fan?
Yep.
And it'd blow the blankets, and the blankets just like barely touch you. It was nice and cool.
Yeah.
That's how I'm thinking that fan would feel underneath your blanket. It'd have to be really powerful for me, though.
Yeah.
Like, you'd really have to be able to feel it. I don't know.
I like it on my face, though.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd like it underneath the blankets as much as I would just blowing, like, on my
it'd be
arms
blowing
and
on the
face.
bottom of your feet.
Yeah.
Would you like that?
Well, you used to like that, didn't you?
I had to have it that way. I couldn't sleep without it.
Huh. If you're a fan company, hit us up. We'll test your fans. We are really strict on our fans.
Oh, my. I bought one of them metal fans.
Like the one I have? Like the big metal one?
Oscillating metal. It was
not
10, 12 inch. Paid like $60 for that darn thing. Yes. It didn't even get me 1 year. I was so upset. Metal blades, everything. It looked like a really stout fan. How this has anything to do with thrifting, I don't know. But it's...
Well, it's like the box fans always work the best.
Yeah, they
Those
do. The
little
cheapest,
plastic box fans. And then this big metal one that I got from Lowe's, the $40 one from Lowe's. Oh, that thing works sweet. I think you have 2 of them.
Yeah, I really do try to find fans and stuff at thrift stores and flea markets and stuff, but you can't find any.
No, and they're
I like
so
the vintage fans.
I think
super
everyone
cool.
is starting to sleep with them more often.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. I've been seeing that a lot lately. Like, who else sleeps with a fan? Like, I'll see that on, like, TikTok.
I wonder when that all started. Like, I started with a fan when I was probably 8, 9 years old because I had a problem with my feet and they itched like crazy and nobody could figure out why. And so I had a fan blowing on the bottom of my feet and that's the only way I could sleep. And that makes me wonder, did I start something or was it already previous to
I'm
that?
sure you weren't the first person.
Oh,
to
dang
ever
it, don't
have a
ruin
fan.
this for me. It had to be me.
He's
It
like,
had to be me.
back in 1982.
But nobody in my family slept with fans then. I was the only one. And now everybody sleeps with fans on.
But you said your dad used to have a weekly go clean the fans, didn't he?
No. He would fix my fan.
Oh, is that all it was?
Instead of buying one, he would clean it out.
I thought you said it was like a monthly or a weekly ritual. He'd like go down to the garage.
Oh, we know he would. Down to the basement. Yeah, but that was years after. That was probably when I was 16.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and everybody started using fans again.
Oh, yeah. Well, you started a trend.
I
so.
did. That's what I'm saying.
That's the only reason
on.
I sleep with one. Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Although it does like Taylor, we didn't have the fan on the other day, and she was like, "Can you go turn that fan on?" It's like oddly quiet in the room, and you'll hear like our dog biting its back legs, and you'll hear the fish tank running a little bit. The 13 cats we have crawling around the house.
No thanks. But that's probably why our ears ring as much as they do, is because we constantly have a fan blowing in our ear.
Well, that and we can never hear anyone because the fans are always blowing in our ear, so you have to yell.
Yeah, but I mean that was my dirty story at the start of this podcast. That one kind of lasted a little while.
The whole podcast.
It did, didn't it?
Yeah.
Well, it just goes to show not everything is a treasure, even if it's something that you could. Actually, it works both ways, right? Because that Ford jacket was a score.
Yeah.
So I could say, just because it looks trashy, there might be a hidden gem in there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, it just goes back to that vacuum belt
Same
pile.
with the vacuum. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, so don't be afraid to dive into that stuff, but make sure you have hand sanitizer or Lysol with you.
Wear gloves.
Close. Hold on, I got to put my gloves on. Yeah.
Pull out all your COVID gear.
One of those paint suits.
A
Mask on.
Tyvek suit and gas mask.
Hazmat suit.
Going
yeah.
through it all.
Oh, I'll go through it. Just give me a minute.
Does this fan work? Can I plug it in?
Oh.
The whole face mask is fogging up.
You turn it on and you're covered in dog fur. Yeah, it works. Thanks for showing it to me.
Like, do people not have air compressors or anything to like blow the dust off their fans?
I mean, he's sitting there just smoking a cigarette. Could he have not had that thing on his lap and taken his little pocket knife? He probably had a Barlow in his pocket and just cleaned it up, right? I mean, guys like that have pocket knives.
Yeah,
Guarantee it.
There's a lot of
or a
things
lighter. Burn the dang stuff off there.
Water.
I mean, I just think that
wash
it's.
it off or something. I don't know.
I mean, why not clean it and maximize your profits? If I've learned anything, especially reselling, and this is very much reselling information, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
Clean your stuff.
Yeah.
It'll get you more money if it looks nice.
It really will.
Take the time. Clean the bottom of your shoes.
Goes back to the photography episode. If you haven't watched it, now's your chance. Or listened to it, now's your chance. I feel like the better the quality the item looks, the more you're going to make for it. I mean, if something looks great, that's how everyone judges their stuff. I mean,
when I look at it, if it looks dirty, you're not going to get as much. I'm not going to give you as much for it.
If you buy a couch and it has a big old stain on it, you're not going to buy the couch because there's a big old stain on it.
Yeah.
And it's just, even like an old couch with no stains looks better than a new couch with a stain. That is just how.
And I think as a reseller, you will start to see how much time it takes you to clean certain things. So then you're going to stay away from buying shoes, what I've learned. Even though, say I find a vintage pair of Air Jordans, right? But they're just a messy mess to where I'm going to have an hour or two of trying to clean them, and who knows what they'll look like after, I'll pass. You have to understand how much time, because how many things could I have listed in that hour?
What if they're like $400 shoes?
But they're not going to be. If they're that messy, they're not going to be.
Fair enough.
You know, the good ones are already clean, ready to go.
That's true.
So I want to maximize, in the reselling business, time is a lot.
Yeah.
Time is a lot.
Especially when it comes to the postings and stuff. Because, I mean, you could have, in an hour, you could have 3 or 4 things listed that make you way more than $100.
Right.
So, or $50 even if you're trying to sell the shoes. I mean, I feel like shoes, $50 for a pair of shoes is pretty high dollar, in my opinion, on eBay.
Yeah, that's probably an above average price.
Yeah.
Because $30 to $35 is probably an average price for a pair of shoes, other than Jordans and all those other
more collectible type shoes.
Yeah, because after I left the flea market, I said I was over at that thrift store. I went in, walked around pretty fast, found nothing. So remember, you're going to have days where you don't find things as well. But the score for me was on the way home. There was a garage sale sign on our road, on Red Bank.
Okay.
And I'm like, well, that wasn't there when I left this morning. So I went up there, ended up buying 5 pairs of shoes.
We just talked about how if shoes are dirty, don't waste your time.
And you
buy 5 pairs of shoes.
But they were clean and had the boxes still with them.
Oh, really?
A pair of vintage, I shouldn't say vintage, but a pair of Air Jordans, a pair of LeBron James, but they're Christmas themed.
I saw those.
Wasn't that cool?
Those are cool. Yeah.
And then another pair of Nike Air, I want to say Zooms or something like that, and then 2 women's pair. They're all in really good shape, very minimal cleaning. So I'm really excited about it. I already have the LeBrons listed. Those are expensive shoes.
Are they?
They were $200 plus new.
Oh my!
Yeah.
Are they any more now, or are they less?
Oh, I think I have mine listed for $130.
How much you buy them for?
$20.
Well, that's a pretty good deal.
I did good.
Yeah, you did.
They wanted more than that for all of them, but I did the whole. I think, don't we have a video on bundling? Make sure you bundle.
Well, we definitely have a podcast on it.
Yeah, but bundling can be your best friend. And so I said, I'll take all 5 pairs of shoes for $100. And they said, yeah, and I got Air Jordans with them. Air Jordans, the LeBrons, and then still 3 more pair of really nice Nike shoes.
Huh.
So I did really well.
Well, good.
Yeah, so.
That's a good little find.
Yeah. So, I mean, I know you guys were probably thinking that I was really going to talk dirty. I know you know better. I wasn't going to do that.
Well, I did. I was talking about how I dry off after the shower.
Well, stop. We were past that already.
Sorry, I had to go back to it.
Well, I know this wasn't as informational, but I just thought it was a cool story to share. I like talking, so stories are good. I always have stories. And I could have went on, but we're going to cut this one off here pretty quickly here, aren't we? Is there anything you want to touch on? Because you didn't talk much.
No, I mean, you just told a story. There's really not much for me to touch on. Yeah.
You just told a story.
Don't buy dirty fans.
Don't buy dirty fans. But never give up on a dirty booth or a dirty garage sale. You never know what you'll find in there.
Dig through the piles of trash because you never know when there's a treasure.
Yeah, and just make sure you wash your hands. Right?
Yeah.
Well, I think are we gonna cut it off there, Devin?
I say so. I say it's a good spot.
I want to thank you all for listening. Make sure you reach out to us at severethrifters@gmail.com. That's SEVIER, severethrifters@gmail.com. We have the YouTube at Severe Thrifters. Instagram, Severe Thrifters and Severe_Thrifters. We have the eBay store at Severe underscore.
Understore?
Well, it's our store. I needed to swallow my spit.
I know.
I was rambling
We
there.
need to make you, just you saying that, just put it in every podcast.
That would be nice.
That way you don't have to say it every time.
Yeah. So eBay, Severe_Thrifters.
Yes.
Did I miss any?
I think that's all of them.
And then just make sure you guys
Just-
at least reach out to us if you don't mind on severethrifters@gmail.com and let us know how you're listening to the podcast, whether
Yes,
it's Spotify. I know Michelle had talked about iHeart Radio, right? She was
Please
listening
do,
from there.
because it actually on the computer it says that iHeartRadio isn't available yet. It says that we're not
weird.
approved, but she's listening to it on
what she
iHeartRadio,
said,
so
yeah.
it's working.
Let us know how you're listening to it,
Please do.
because I mean we want to make sure that these platforms are working.
Yeah, and let us know if you like it, don't like it, what we could change. We're still we're just getting our feet wet, so we're trying to figure out what works best. I mean,
Yep.
So tell us when you listen, what time.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to post them later in the day. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just let us
like
know.
I said, it's for you all, because I'm going to tell the story one way or another. But if you're interested in our content, let us know what's a prime time for you to listen to them. You know,
Absolutely.
What's nice about Spotify is you can download it and listen to it whenever.
Whenever, yeah.
But I know it's fun to hit it right off the bat, like right when it's first uploaded. It's like, man, I get to listen to them. So
Yeah.
I like listening to myself. I'm like the first one. I'm probably the first download.
There's no way I beat you to it every
Oh,
time.
you think so? Well, you do the editing, so you better beat me to it. You probably listen to it like 5 times before it's right while you're editing.
All the editing
all
together,
my mistakes.
I listened to it at least 3 times prior to me posting it.
You poor thing, gotta hear my story
I know
over
it.
and over and over.
I know it word by word at the end. I think I could start from episode 1 till now and tell you the entire podcast and what you said.
You poor thing. But at least that's why I didn't want to tell you the story ahead of time. So I wanted to have you on the edge of your seat.
Well, you had me on the edge of my seat, that's for sure.
Good. And it ended up being not as great as you thought it was going to be.
No, I
But
thought it was
still-
going to be funnier.
Yeah. Well, and I'll have funnier stuff. 'Cause normally I do.
You better.
That's just what happened. That's all there was to it.
That's
so.
a pretty dirty fan.
It was pretty dirty. It was pretty disgusting. So without further ado, I want everybody. When is this going to be uploaded? Approximately.
When
Who
I
knows?
get it done.
When you get it done.
Wednesday.
So I want you guys to have a great week. We'll just go with that because that's safe to say.
It is safe
right?
to say.
I want you guys to. I know Christmas is coming up, so make sure you head up to my eBay store and see if there's anything on there that you or family members, friends want. You can always shoot me a message and shoot me an offer. If you think it's a little too high or you have a budget in mind, just let me know. I'm willing definitely to work with our listeners.
Yeah.
So I think we're gonna wrap it up. I think what is today? Sunday. So we're recording this on Sunday. So I'm gonna head on home. Oh, real quick, all those blue Christmas lights.
Yeah.
Every last string is burned out. All of them. Only like one half of a section.
Well, his were looking better than mine, so I'm going to have to go buy
That was
some.
6 strands of LEDs that are all messed up.
I guess I'll have to go buy
And
some.
I could have
more.
rewired and fixed it, but I am not going to go through all that.
Nah, don't worry about it.
All right. Well, guys, thank you for listening. I'm John,
I'm Devin.
and we're the Severe Thrifters.